Now, Irene Chen joins me in the studio. She's an attorney with Mei Mark, representing US and foreign clients in anti-dumping cases, and was formerly an advisor to the US Commerce Department. Irene, it is Friday night in Washington, D.C. Are you a little bit disappointed that we didn't get the resolution that we were told was coming? Or do you think, this is such a complicated issue that it's better to walk away and think about it in your respective capitals for a while?
I think this is perfectly normal for this kind of negotiation. This is a negotiation that involves multiple areas, very complicated areas, and I think that this is the devil in the details at this point. We're talking about not only putting concrete terms together for the foreign access to the Chinese market, for issues regarding the forced technology transfer. We also are talking about a schedule to roll back the tariffs that are currently in place, as well as enforcement. So these are big issues.
Well, let's look at those two things. First of all, they are talking about specifics, which Owen tells me, and he really has been following this for the last year or so, is pretty unusual at the end of these meetings. They tend not to talk about specifics, but they are. And as you say, it's intellectual property, forced transfer, foreign investment, cyber hacking, all that kind of thing. What does that tell you?
It tells me that they're serious about this. It's one thing for President Trump and Xi Jinping to go before the cameras and talk about the willingness to discuss a deal, but really a lot of the work is done behind the scenes between Ambassador Lighthizer and his Chinese counterparts to hammer out details, because this is an agreement that going forward they're going to have to point to if and when things come up.
But the downside to that, I'm told, is that the 10% that they've left to work on is the most difficult of all. Whether to remove the existing tariffs, which I don't think Trump particularly wants to do because he wants leverage, or whether or not to impose any future tariffs if things go wrong.
That's right. That is really the sticking point, because when you're talking about whether the U.S. says, well, we want to impose unilateral tariffs if we don't think that China is abiding by the agreement. Well, what are the terms there? That is something that requires a lot of back and forth, and so this kind of agreement, it's going to take a while.
Do you, as we said just now, Trump seems a bit more circumspect about the possibility of the deal being done. He thinks it will be done, but the time frame. Is this his advisors slowing him down a little bit, do you think? I mean, in other words, what I'm really saying is, do you think that on the American side, with the election in mind, this is becoming political here now?
Well, for President Trump, it is definitely a political calculus, because he is heading towards a 2020 presidential election, looking at the possibility of a slowing global economy. But he also, as you rightly said, that he has advisors, including Ambassador Lighthizer, who is a well-known trade hawk who has been working in Washington for many years on behalf of domestic industries. So you have him, and you also have Peter Navarro. So yes, the aides are there in the background, pulling him back a little bit, but I think the momentum is still going for a deal.
Yes, but how much, I wonder, is the talk of recession driving this process now from both sides, the Beijing side and the DC side? Absolutely.
I think both sides have a lot of pressure to reach a deal, because, as you said, there's recessionary talk on both sides. And the U.S., the constituents of President Trump, including the agricultural sector, I mean, when they go to the voting booth in 2020, it's not a guarantee that they're going to support President Trump again.
Can I just ask you in 5 seconds, that's very unfair of me, what do you think will happen now? What do you think, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks? What do you think?
I would bet that they are going to get very close to a deal, if not a deal.
All right.
Yes.
We shall see. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Irene Chen.